On my hardest day, when the weight of the world seemed unbearable and each breath felt like carrying a mountain across my chest, I found myself sitting on the cold stone steps of a monastery perched on the edge of a misty cliff. The wind whispered secrets I could not yet understand, carrying the scent of pine and rain-soaked earth. I had come seeking answers to questions I was too afraid to voice. Questions about purpose, pain, and the invisible chains that kept my spirit from soaring. I had wandered through the labyrinth of my mind, overthinking every mistake, regretting every misstep, doubting every decision, and yet nothing seemed to ease the storm within. That day I felt utterly broken, a fragile vessel with cracks too deep to be mended by mere hope or cliches. I felt small against the vast expanse of the sky, a solitary speck overshadowed by clouds that hid the sun. And yet it was in that fragile moment, as despair clung to me like a second skin, that the monk, whose presence had always been calm, almost imperceptible, turned to me and spoke one sentence. One sentence that would echo in the corridors of my soul long after the wind had died down and the sun had pierced the fog. He said, "Your pain is not a wall to stop you. It is the chisel that carves the masterpiece of your life." I remember the way the words settled into the silence around us, how they floated like a feather caught in a sunbeam, delicate yet impossible to ignore. At first, I did not understand. My mind rebelled, screaming that suffering was punishment, that struggle was failure, that life was a relentless storm designed to break those foolish enough to hope. But he did not elaborate. He did not rush to explain, because wisdom, he had taught me, cannot be poured into an empty cup. It must be felt, digested, and wrestled with until it becomes part of your being. And so I sat there, letting the sentence settle into me, feeling its weight and its freedom simultaneously. The stone beneath me was cold, but somehow grounding, anchoring me to the moment, to reality, to possibility. Pain, I realized slowly, is not the enemy. We have been trained to fear it, to avoid it, to anesthetize ourselves with distractions, yet it is in the furnace of our suffering that character is forged. The monk's words were not a promise of an easy path, but an invitation to see differently. To understand that every hardship, every sleepless night, every tear shed in solitude is a sculptor's hand shaping us into something resilient, something unique, something undeniably alive. The chisel does not spare the marble. It cuts, it chips, it grinds, and through this very violence, beauty emerges. So too, through our own hardships, the contours of our strength, our courage, our compassion are revealed. I thought of the times I had resisted pain, the moments when I had turned away from discomfort, pretending it did not exist, only to find it growing, festering in the corners of my mind. I had treated challenges like intruders, but the monk's words made me see them as teachers. They are the unspoken mentors of our lives, offering lessons in patience, endurance, and humility. Every loss becomes a lesson, every rejection a doorway, every heartbreak a mirror reflecting the depths of our humanity. And what we often perceive as suffering is, in truth, a silent ally, quietly chiseling us into beings capable of wisdom, empathy, and extraordinary resilience. I could see it then, as if the mist around the monastery lifted to reveal hidden landscapes. Life is not linear. It does not reward only comfort or punish only failure. Its currents are complex, unpredictable, and often merciless. Yet within this chaos exists opportunity, waiting like a pearl inside a rough shell. Each moment of struggle, each seemingly insurmountable challenge, contains within it the potential for transformation. The pain I had thought would bury me was, paradoxically, the soil from which my strength would bloom. Like a tree whose roots grow stronger in rocky earth, my spirit was being reinforced, not despite the difficulty, but because of it. I asked the monk, with a voice trembling like a fragile candle flame, how I could possibly endure when it all felt so unbearable. How could I continue to walk a path so jagged and unkind? He did not answer immediately. He looked at me with eyes that had witnessed decades of storms, both within himself and in others, and said only, "What if your hardest day is the day that defines you?" It was a question that pierced me deeper than any explanation ever could. A question that demanded reflection, that demanded courage, that demanded a willingness to face oneself without flinching. And in that silence, I realized something profound. Perhaps suffering is not a punishment or a mistake, but an integral part of becoming. The world outside the monastery continued as if indifferent to my revelation. Clouds rolled across the sky, birds traced invisible arcs through the air, and the distant mountains stood like sentinels guarding secrets I had yet to uncover. But inside me, a subtle shift had begun. I could feel it in the way my shoulders relaxed, in the way my breath deepened, in the quiet space between thoughts where clarity lives. The monk's sentence was simple, yet infinite in its implications. Your pain is not a wall to stop you. It is the chisel that carves the masterpiece of your life. It suggested that life's trials are not obstacles to escape, but materials to shape. That every scar is a brushstroke, every tear a note in the symphony of our becoming. And I began to reflect on the nature of mastery, not in the sense of skill or achievement, but mastery of self. The greatest artists, writers, leaders, and philosophers did not escape hardship. They embraced it, wrestled with it, and let it teach them. Michelangelo's marble yielded to the hammer. Beethoven's deafness became the language of eternity. Mandela's imprisonment became the forge of freedom. There is a certain sacred alchemy in pain, a transformation that can elevate suffering into wisdom, despair into courage, and isolation into connection. To endure is not merely to survive, it is to allow the universe to shape you into a vessel capable of extraordinary depth and insight. I thought of my own life, of the days when I had stumbled, of the nights when I had cried in silence, feeling that no one could understand the weight I bore. And yet, in retrospect, I could see how each struggle had taught me something vital. Patience, resilience, compassion, the ability to listen, not only to others, but to the quiet whispers of my own heart. Pain had been the sculptor all along, not the destroyer I had feared. And if I could see it this way, perhaps I could also embrace the uncertainty of tomorrow, knowing that hardship is not a sentence, but a teacher, a guide, a chisel shaping the contours of my life. The monk, sensing my quiet revelation, finally spoke again. He said, "Do not fear the chisel. Welcome it. Let it shape you, refine you, and reveal the masterpiece that already exists within." And in that moment, I understood that true courage is not the absence of fear or suffering, but the willingness to face them fully, to allow them to transform rather than deform us. It is the recognition that every storm, no matter how fierce, carries within it the seeds of growth. Pain is not the end. It is the process, the dialogue, the hidden architect of our potential. I began to see my life as a canvas, rough and unfinished, each hardship a stroke, each challenge a texture, each disappointment a shadow that highlights the brilliance of light. The story of our lives is written not only in joy but in suffering, not only in ease but in struggle. And if we resist the hardships, we deny the fullness of our own becoming. But if we embrace them, if we allow them to carve us with precision and care, we can emerge as works of art, imperfect yet beautiful, scarred yet luminous, fragile yet enduring. And so I made a choice that day on the monastery steps. I chose not to run from my pain, not to numb it, not to diminish it. I chose to face it, to listen to it, to let it teach me. I chose to trust that within every hardship lies the seed of transformation, and that I am not defined by the suffering itself, but by the courage I summon in response. Life, I realized, is not about avoiding the storm. It is about learning to dance in the rain, to feel the wind against your face, to know that the clouds will pass and the sun, though hidden, has never ceased to shine. The monk smiled as if he had known all along that I would arrive at this understanding. He did not speak another word because there was no need. The silence itself was eloquent, filled with the echoes of wisdom, the quiet affirmation that we are all works in progress, chisels in hand, sculpting our destinies with every choice, every breath, every moment of courage. And in that silence, I felt a peace I had never known, a quiet confidence that no matter what storms lay ahead, I could face them with dignity, grace, and an open heart. Now, whenever life feels unbearable, whenever the weight of existence seems too heavy to bear, I return to that sentence, repeating it like a mantra, letting it settle into my bones. Your pain is not a wall to stop you. It is the chisel that carves the masterpiece of your life. And I ask myself, what is this hardship teaching me? How is it shaping me? What masterpiece is being carved within me that I cannot yet see? And in asking these questions, I find not despair, but opportunity. Not fear, but possibility. Not emptiness, but a profound sense of purpose. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson the monk taught me, not through lectures or doctrines, but through a single sentence and the silence that followed. That suffering, though painful, is purposeful. That hardship, though heavy, is formative. That our most challenging days, though daunting, may be the very moments that define us, that reveal who we truly are and who we are capable of becoming. And in this realization, we are no longer victims of circumstance, no longer prisoners of pain, no longer lost in the fog of doubt. We are sculptors of our own destiny, artists of our own lives, and every stroke of adversity is a brush on the canvas of our becoming. So, when the night seems darkest, when the tears threaten to drown you, when the weight of the world seems unbearable, remember this: the pain is not here to stop you. It is here to shape you. The storm is not here to break you. It is here to awaken you. The challenge is not here to defeat you. It is here to reveal the courage, the resilience, and the brilliance already within you. And if you embrace this truth, if you allow the hardships to teach you rather than terrify you, you will discover a strength you never knew existed, a depth of character you never imagined, and a light that cannot be dimmed. And as you walk forward from this realization, take a moment to reflect: what masterpiece is waiting to be revealed within you? What beauty, what courage, what brilliance lies hidden beneath the weight of your struggles, waiting for your awareness to uncover it? Life is not a series of obstacles to avoid. It is a gallery of experiences to engage, to feel, to learn from, and to allow to shape us into beings capable of extraordinary love, wisdom, and greatness. So rise, not despite your hardships, but because of them. Step forward, not in fear, but in trust that every challenge carries within it a lesson, a gift, a chisel shaping the sculpture of your life. And remember, always, that your pain is not a wall to stop you. It is the very instrument through which your life's masterpiece is being carved. One deliberate, painful, and beautiful stroke at a time. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on your own struggles, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments, and join our community by subscribing for more stories and reflections that inspire the greatness within us all. Hit the like button if you feel the power of this lesson. And remember that no matter the hardship, no matter the storm, your masterpiece is in the making. And you are already more resilient, more capable, and more extraordinary than you realize.